Yeah. Hi everyone. Welcome. We are so happy to have you today for our first webinar. In today's webinar, we'll be looking at data visualization, and to be more specific, we'll be looking at the tool which is Google Data Studio. And then we will look at some hands-on practice. And for the hands-on practice, we will be looking at how to build a dashboard. And the data set that we'll be utilizing is the Ghana COVID data. So I want to give some introductions about data visualization. So data visualization it's a process, okay? And it's a process which starts from first of all, obtaining your data. So you obtain your data, then the goal is that you want to interpret the data and make meaningful decisions out of it. So the aim of data visualization is to help you interpret your data and to present it in a pictorial or graphical format. And in as much as you want to put it in a graphical format, you want to make sure you present it accurately. Uh, it's a process such that you correctly or effectively present information about your data. And data science or data visualization, to be more specific, is part art and part science. So what do I mean by part art and part science? So let's assume that you want to visualize ages. So let's assume you have two individuals. So individual A has age 20, individual B has age 40. So you notice that individual B's age is twice as much as individual A. So then if you want to visualize this data, then so assuming you want to use the bar plot, okay, so then the bar plot should be twice as much as the age of individual A. So then that's the science aspect. So you want to make sure that you get the maths right or the stats right. And then what do I mean by part art? So part art talks about the aestheticness of the graph, how beautiful the graph is. So, you want to make sure that the graph that you visualize, it's pleasing to the eye. So one challenge in data visualization is that you want to make sure you get the art right without getting the science wrong and vice versa. So then this two goes hand in hand. So now that we know what data visualization is, there are several tools that can help, visualize your data. So when we say data visualization tool, we are concerned about the softwares, okay? The softwares that takes as an input your data and then it processes it and, it presents an output in this regard, which becomes the visual chart or your graph or a table. So then you have the software, so we can assume the software to be a box. You have your input, your data, and your output, which is your graph. So data visualization helps you to visualize several data generated from several instances. So one of the instances could be business processes. So if you are a business owner, you might be interested in how to, track your sales, okay, your daily sales. So that's, so based on your daily sales, you can track it. So for instance, if you're a stakeholder and right now we are in the midst of a pandemic, even though right now it's dying out slowly. So if you're a stakeholder, you want to be able to visualize how the COVID cases evolve. So then with the help of a visualization tool, you are able to visualize these data. So data visualization tools can help you create very, very simple graphs. For instance, the regular pie chart or pie graph to very complicated and interactive graphs such as the choropleth. So what's a choropleth? Choropleths are basically a graph, but then instead of a graph, so for instance, we can look at the country Ghana, and then if we want to measure or want to quantify the COVID cases in each region, we can use a choropleth. So basically, a choropleth is going to fill up all the different regions in Ghana. So that's what choropleth is. So these are some of the things that you can utilize data visualization to do. So now we have here some very popular data visualization tools. So, and I believe most of you have one way or the other seen some of these, so I should say that this is not an exhaustive list. Okay, so here we just listed some of the commonly used ones. So in academia, most people visualize data by using either the R statistical software or Python. So in academia, this is some of the very common tools that we have. And then in business, some people also use Excel. So Excel is also one of the very popular visualization tools. And then we have the Tableau, we have the Infogram, we have the Microsoft Power BI, which the BI stands for Business Intelligence. We also have the Fine Report, and then last but not least, we have the Google Data Studio. So all these tools are very, very good and effective tools, that you can use to visualize your data. They all have their advantages and their disadvantages. So in this webinar, our goal is to explore the Google Data Studio. So then that is our goal. So let's talk a little bit about the Google Data Studio. So Google Data Studio is a free product. So here the keyword, it's free. It's a free product for data visualization and reporting. Okay, and so with Google Data Studio, you are able to turn your data, which is in its raw format, into a very useful, informative dashboard and report. Because the goal of data visualization is to, present your data in such a way that you can reveal some patterns in the data, and through those revelations, if you're a business owner or if you're a data scientist or what kind of job description that you have, you can make informed decisions. And one good thing about Data Studio is the fact that you don't need to be a programmer or a technical person. Okay, so it's very easy. It's very easy to use, and with some small practice, you should be fine using the Google Data Studio. So how does the Google Data Studio work? So basically it's in three parts. For the Google Data Studio, it's in three parts. So the first part is the connection part. Okay, so for the connection part, that's where you connect your data source to Google Studio. So then before you start any form of data visualization, you need to connect your data source to Google Studio. And the good thing is that it supports several data sources. Okay, so for instance, if your data is in the form of Google Sheet, yes, you can connect it to a Google Sheet. If your data is from a database, okay, so for instance, if it's from my SQL, Postgres, SQLite, regardless of the kind of database, you can still connect. And also, even if you want to scrape data from, for instance, maybe Facebook, if you want to analyze your Facebook likes, you can connect your database to Facebook, and then you can download data even from Facebook, Twitter, just name it, several data sources. And I'll be showing you this when we start the hands-on practice. So that's one good thing about it. You can connect your data. So now once you've connected your data, then the next thing is to visualize, correct? Because that's all that we are interested in. So with Google Data Studio, we have a variety of visualization. So you can select the theme that you want. You can select the dimensions and metrics. So here I will explain more about the dimensions and metrics. So, but you could take the dimensions to be, for instance, if you have a graph, the horizontal, which corresponds to the x-axis, is our dimension, and the metric corresponds to the measurement. So basically, we are interested in the variables that we want to quantify or you want to measure. So then that corresponds to the metric, So with that, so once you connect your data, then you visualize, and we will see an example pretty soon. And now, after you've performed your visualization, one good thing about Data Studio is the fact that you can share. Okay, so you can easily share with your colleagues at work. You can even invite your colleagues to collaborate on it. And the good thing is that you can work on Google Studio in real time. So then you can invite your colleagues to work on it. And then after you are done working with it, you can share it easily. So if you want it to be in a form of PDF, you can do that. If you want to embed it into a website, you can do that. We'll see an example pretty soon. And then also, if you want to schedule, an email such that, maybe every week, you receive a report based on the data that the visualization that you've automated, you will be able to do that. So basically, these are the three components of Data Studio: connect, visualize, share. So let's talk briefly about some of the features of Data Studio. So one of the features is the fact that you are able to create dashboard and report easily. So what is dashboard? So basically, dashboard is just a visualization which is made up of several graphs. Okay, so you on just one screen, you are able to obtain relevant information from the data, and based on that relevant information, you are able to make informed decisions. So you are able to do that using the Data Studio. You're also able to integrate different databases, and I already spoke about that. The fact that you can link your database to Google Data Studio, and then Google Data Studio is able to connect and link your data in your database to Google Studio, and you are able to perform your visualizations. Also, you are able to get reports in real time. Okay, so what happens is that once you set up your visualization, once you set it up, you don't have to visit Google Studio again. No. You just update your data, and automatically it generates a visualization or a picture, and that's very useful. And also, multiple users are able to synchronously edit the dashboard at the same time, which is very good. And you're also able to share your reports internally or externally via email. You also have the option to send people the link. Okay, you're able to send. So after you've created your visualization, you're also able to send people the link. And then once they click on the link, they can visit the dashboard that you've created. And the good thing is that we have two options. You can give people the right to just view the visualization you've created, or just edit. So you have that. You have that option, and you can also embed your dashboard anywhere. So if you have a website, if you have a personal blog, whatever, you can embed your Data Studio dashboard into that website. And last but not least, you can also customize your reports to suit your brand. Okay, so it gives you that flexibility to customize your report. So now I'm done with the talking. I want us to do some practice hands-on. How do we utilize Google Data Studio? So I will. So before that, so basically, in order for you to use Google Data Studio, just type datastudio.google, right? And I should say that if you have a Google account, then automatically you have a Google Data Studio account. So please, that's something that you should take note of. Okay, so basically, once you type Data Studio, so if you've never logged in, you'll be asked to accept some legal agreement. Okay, do you accept? Yes. And I think none of us go through those agreements. We just click accept, and then with that you are able to do that. So since I already have an account, once you go through that process, it brings you to the Data Studio platform. So then this is how the Data Studio platform is. And the good thing is that you have templates. Okay, so once you open up, these templates are there. So for instance, depending on what you are interested in, you can click on that template and then you can start performing analysis. So in this webinar, we are interested in creating our own, dashboard from scratch.
I would want to cut you for just a little bit. Sorry.
Excuse me?
I just would want to say something and then you can continue. Sorry.
Okay.
At any point in time during the presentation, if you have a question, there is a question, a chat button, or there is a question button there that you can just type in your question and we would be happy to answer it at the end. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So then, so like I said, in this webinar, we are interested in creating a dashboard from scratch. So in this, we just click on a blank report. So once you click on a blank report, then this is what happens. So the first thing, remember when we're going through the data, when I was going through the presentation about Data Studio, the first part is your connection, right? So then connection is you connecting your data to Data Studio. So you notice, so basically this is what you have. So these are the different Google connectors, okay? So right now they have about 18 Google connectors here, so we have Google Sheet. So I believe some of you are familiar, with some of these. And you also have, the file upload, just in case you have your own file that you want to work with. You have, but then for the file upload, it only supports, comma separated values. That is .csv files. Okay, so that's something I need to take note of. Okay, so you have the option to extract. If you have, MySQL database, you have the option to link it up. If you have Postgres SQL, so basically there are several different connectors. So these are, partner connectors. They have about 354 partner connectors. So there is so much. So you can explore more about this. So for this work, we are interested in Ghana COVID data. Okay, so so before I do the connection, I want to talk briefly about the Ghana COVID data. So for the Ghana COVID data, so this is the data that we will be looking at. Okay, so for this data sets, we have the different dates. We have, so here country Ghana. We have the different regions. So for instance, so for the Ghana data, the first recorded, the first time they recorded a positive COVID case was on March 12th. So that was in the Greater Accra region. So you notice that in that instance, 2 people were tested positive. Good. And then so the measurements here are, the different regions. We have the positive cases and we also have the recovered cases. So basically for COVID Ghana, this is the data set that we'll be looking at. And then another data set that we did was so another data set we have is the COVID Ghana daily data. So basically all that we did is we collapsed all the different regions into one. Okay, so for instance, so you notice that so here we wanted to have the daily data set. So we collapsed it. And then so basically for this date here, we have 2 cases. So here it's a sum of all the different regions. And then we also have that for, so we have the recovery. And then we're interested in the moving average. Okay, so, just visualizing the positive cases, you notice that there are instances where for a particular day, there's going to be, a lot of recorded cases. And for some particular days, there's going to be very low. Okay, so then in the visualization, there's going to be, peaks and valleys. So in order to smoothen that up, we are interested in how the cases evolve within a 7-day average. Okay, so 7-day period. So we computed what is known as the 7-day moving average. So basically for 7-day moving averages, you need the first 7 day in order to compute, that. So basically this is how we did. So basically for this data set, the only thing that we did was to compute the 7-day 7-day average. So yeah, so basically that is this. And then we also have one thing, which is the last update. Okay, but then so the last update corresponds to the last day, that the data was provided. So for the data set that we are using, the last updated day was February 12th. So then I just want to, point out that the last day was February 12th. So now that we have an idea of the data set that we'll be using, let me go back to Google Studio. So basically, what you need to do is so here our data is in our Google Sheet, correct? So all that you need to do is you click, Google Sheet, and please take note, the account that you log in with, into Data Studio is the same account that should have your Google Sheet. Okay, so then that's something that you need to take note of. If it's a different account, then meaning that you need to log in. You need to log in. So here, your data credentials. So you need to log into a different account, that. But then for simplicity's sake, it's best if you use the same account. So then for that account, you should have your Google Sheet. You should have your that should be the same account. You should log on to Data Studio. So once you come here, you have all the different options. So for instance, here the data owned by you. So if someone has shared data with you, all these things are there. Okay, so the first thing is we are interested in what? The Ghana COVID Ghana COVID data. So then you add that. So once you click add, then it says that you want to add this to your report. You say yes, then you add it. So once you add it, so basically then automatically what happens is that your data gets added to your Data Studio. So now you've connected what? You've connected your data, right? But then we are not interested in creating this table. So now we can just delete it, but the good thing is that we have our data connected. Or even if you have different data sets, you have the option to include it. Okay, so now the first thing that we are interested in, so right now we know we have a rough idea of our data set. Okay, so then we are interested in the different regions in Ghana. Okay, so how are the cases reported? So we are interested in all the 16 regions. Okay, so we want to have an idea. So you see, that's where the definition of data visualization, part science and part art comes in. Okay, so at least you should have some concept, okay, on how you visualize different quantities. So for instance, you notice that if we want to visualize the different regions, based on the count of the positive cases, then in data visualization, we say you are visualizing an amount, okay, and then to visualize an amount, what are the different graphs that you need? Okay, so then the very basic graph that you need is the very simple bar graph, which is the or bar chart, whichever way. So here, to visualize the regions, we come here. So we have two options. So here you can go to insert and then you choose what? You choose the different graphs that you want, or you can just come here, add chart. Okay, so you come to our chart, right? And then once you come to our charts, you see, that's why I said this, you don't need any programming experience or you don't need technical background. So once you come here, you notice that we have table, scorecard, time series, bars. So here, these are the bars. And for bars, so it depends on what you're looking at. Are you looking at grouped bar plot, individual bar plot? Are you looking at stacked bar plot? So we have all the different types. So here we are just looking at the very basic bar plot. So here, let's look at the horizontal bar plot. So now we have this to be a horizontal bar plot. So it's still loading. Good. So now once you have this, so you notice that no, this is not what we are interested in, right? So this is where we have, so I should put it, this is our editor, right? And then for our editor, this part is very important. Okay, so for this part, the right-hand side, so here we have the data. Okay, so now for the data, you notice that for the Google Sheet, that is the data corresponding to COVID Ghana, right? What are the different columns? So here we have columns for country, for date, positive cases, recovered, region, right? Good. So now we are interested in finding the bar plot of what? Of the regions and the positive cases. So in that instance, we choose the dimension, okay, we choose the dimension to be, so dimension is basically, you can think of the dimension to be the x-axis. Okay, so here the dimensions corresponds to the regions, right? So you click dimensions. So once you click on dimensions, then you just select what? You select regions, right? But then you notice that in this this part, we also need to select the metric. Okay, so then for regions, what are you interested in doing? We are interested in measuring the positive cases. So then the measurements are, that's what the metric handles. So metric handles the measurement. So here we just click this and then we look at what? Positive cases. Right, good. So now, so we can push this, a little bit down. Okay, good. So now these are the positive cases. But you notice that in Ghana, we have 16 regions, right? But then if you look, at this, you notice that we have about 10 different bars. So what happens is that you can set the number of bars that you want, okay? And in order to do that, you come to style. So here we have the style part, okay? So for the style part, I would say that this is, so you can take the data part to be, the part science that we talked about, and then the style part to be the part arts that we talked about, in our presentation. So here for the style, once you click on this tab style, it gives you what? So here we have what? You notice that we have bars here, right? So basically in this instance, we have 10 bars, but then we want 16 bars because we have 16 regions in Ghana. So here you click on this and then that changes to what? That changes to 16. So now, so if we bring this down, you notice that now we have what? All the different what? All the other regions are what? Are now included, correct? And you notice that so for this regions, so let me push this up a little bit. Good. So then for these regions, basically the counts are low. That's how come, you have this. And you also have the option to change the colors because you see, if we are recording positive cases, then you must as well, change the color. So probably we could switch to maybe, a red, which shows that, okay, well, I mean, this is alarming. These are positive what? These are positive cases. Okay, so here, if you want to increase, the dimensions of this, once you come here, and also here, you have the option to show the bottom x-axis. So here, the bottom axis corresponds to the positive cases, right? So once you show this x-axis, then you notice that here we have what? We have the positive cases shown. You also have the option to show the y-axis title. So here, remember the y-axis is what? Region. But you notice once you include this, then this part here, it shrinks, right? So, but you have that option. Okay, so here you can change what? You can change the size of this, okay, such that it shrinks out. Or even if you don't want to do that, what you could do is you wouldn't show these regions, but instead you can create a text, a text, and then you put it here, regions. So that's also another option, something that you can do, right? You put what? Regions, just to denote that this part here corresponds to the regions. Then another plot that we are also interested in is the recoveries. Okay, so right now, the trend, we go to chart, and for recoveries too, we are interested in recoveries in the different regions. So we come here, and then we have this. So as usual, this is not what we are looking out for. So basically, we change the dimension to regions. So here we have the different regions, and then you change the metric, because remember, this time around, the metric corresponds to the recovered rates, the recovery. So here you click on this, and then you hit on recovered. And as usual, you notice that in this, it's just showing. So let me try and increase the dimension. You notice that here it's just showing 10 regions, right? So we come to style again. You come to style. So once you hit on the tile style, then you can show the 16. You can show the 16 regions, and also you also have the option to also change the color. So since these are recoveries, then we can change this to what? To a light green. So which shows that, I mean, okay, well, I mean, it's good. People are recovering, and as usual, you can add the axis if you want. So you can add the X axis, so this corresponds to the recovered. And for every graph, it's important that you include the titles, or let me put it, the labels, right? So the title. So in order to include a title, basically all that you need to do is that you grab a text box. Okay, so you have this, and then you put, so here you grab this and you put it here, right? So for this text box, for this part here, we are interested in the COVID cases. So here we put what? COVID-19 cases in Ghana per region, right? So here you also have the option. So once you come to start, you have the option to bolden it, to increase the size. It's lot of flexibilities. We can also do same for, so here we have this, and then we can also do same for the recovered cases. So once you click this, so you click on the text box, then okay, so here we and you see that the good thing is that, the good thing is that you can just drag it anywhere you want. Okay, so here we have this. Okay, so we have COVID-19 recoveries in Ghana per region. Okay, so here, so that's our title. So here you can also bolden it and also increase the dimension, right? Good. So now that you have this, okay, so now you see, so now let's go to view, right? So once you have this, okay, this, like I said, is the editor part. Okay, so once you go to view, this is how your dashboard is going to look like. Okay, so you see, this is, so basically, after you're done, you can, shift the positions to align such that, you have a very good graph. So this is how it's going to look like. Okay, so these are, this is how your dashboard is looking at, So let's continue. So now that we have this, let's assume that we are interested in the cumulative total cases. Okay, so sometimes, it's best if once someone visits your dashboard, your dashboard tells the person, okay, so now how many cases do we have, right? So then in order to do that, since we are looking at cumulative sum of cases, we can just use a very simple table, right? So here, once you come to our chart, we have this. So here we have what? The table. Okay, so here, so automatically Google Studio is adding the table, okay, to your this. But then you see here, you notice that here it lists all the different regions, right? So Greater Accra, we have 35,700. Ashanti, we have 10,262. We are not interested in that. We are just interested in the cumulative, cases. So here, what we do is that we don't want the regions, right? We are not interested in that. So here, what we are interested in is the cumulative sum. So here, you notice this is what? This is the cumulative sum of all the different, regions. So now, but then you see here, we have positive cases. The good thing about this is that once you click on sum, right? Once you click on this, you have the option to change the name, So here we can change this to cumulative. So we can change this to cumulative, positive. We change this to cumulative, positive cases, right? So then that's what we have. And you notice that this doesn't look good, right? It's like we have, row numbers. We have the pagination here. We don't want that. So here, in order to get rid of all these things, we come to sum. Okay, so we come to the style. So for the style, we click on style, and then with style, we have the option to get rid of the row number. So once you hit this, look at this. Once I uncheck this, you notice that the row number, disappears. We also don't want the pagination, okay? So here, that's the table footer. We don't want that. So you unselect it, and now you have this, okay? So you can, so now we want to center it. So here, in order to do that, you come down here, and then once you do this, it centers your table for you, right? So now we have the total cumulative cases. So you can perform some editing, assuming you want to change the header so that it becomes red, so that it corresponds to the positive cases. You have that option. So you come here, then table colors, right? So so once you do this, you notice that it changes the cumulative cases. So if you want to increase this value, you have different options. If you want to increase the labels, you have the option to, let's put it at 16, right? So we have 16. Now let's do same for the total recoveries. Okay, so for total recoveries, how do we do it? We come to chart, then we go to tables, right? So once you come to tables, so this, we push it. So once you select it, then you drag it. Okay, so then it drags to the position that you want it. So here, as usual, once you select this, it gives you the entire regions, but then we are not interested in the different regions. Okay, so we are just interested in just the cumulative recoveries. Good. So now, so what we do is that we get rid of this. Good. And then instead of recoveries, we click on the sum again, and we say cumulative recoveries. So here we have cumulative recoveries. Or you could put a cumulative recovery cases, whichever one that you want. And then, so once you click this, and as usual, once you have this, we go to style. We get rid of the page numbers because we don't need the row numbers. Okay, and we don't need a pagination, right? So so we get rid of that, and then we can center our values, and then we can also increase the font size. So here we increased it to 16. It's good if you are uniform, right? So here, and also because we want this to look just like what we did, so here we can choose this to be what? This to be green, which means that this corresponds to what? And now, last but not least, what we are interested in is, let's look at the active cases, right? Right now we have the positive cases, we have the recovery. So then how do we do the active? So for active, we just, as usual, it's still a table, right? So we have this, then we have this right here. And okay, so okay, good. So as usual, we don't want this. Okay, so here we get rid of this, and then for the metric. Okay, so for the metric, so here we are calling this active what? So active. Okay, so here we are calling this what? Active cases. But then you see, even for this, one good thing is that you have the option to create a new field, okay? So then in order to create a new field, you come here, okay? So we create a new field, which is, so here we call this active cases. And then what is the formula? So here the formula is what? The cumulative cases, or the recovered what? The positive cases minus the recoveries, and that gives you the active cases, right? So here we have the positive cases minus the recoveries, right? So here minus the recovered, and that gives you what? That gives you, so here you have the option to, numeric, good. Okay, so everything works here, and then you click this. So we are looking at the sum. Excellent. Good. So now once you have this, this gives you what? The active cases. And you notice that for this value here, it's the difference between the cumulative cases and the recovery the recovered cases. So as usual, we can also change, the way the table looks like, just to make it more, appealing or pleasing to the eye. So here, as usual, we get rid of the row numbers. We also get rid of the show pagination, correct? And then we also have the option to center it, and then we can do this. Okay, and then you also have the option. So here, so for the active cases, you have, so let's show it, maybe, so something maybe different. Let me change the shade a little bit. So maybe let's do this. Okay, so this shade corresponds to, and so here, let me increase this a little bit so that we are able to see all the different, so we click this, and then you have, good. So, okay, good. So now, guys, so basically this is, and one last thing, so here, once you come to view, and like I said, with this, you have the option to arrange it such that, it's uniform. So basically, this is our dashboard, right? So before we, we start implementing something, right? Let's look at one last graph, which is very important. So, so right now we don't have enough space. Okay, so if you want to build another graph, what you do is you go to add a page. Okay, so here we go to add a page. So then automatically it creates a new page. So here, this is page 2 of 2. So if you want to go back to the previous, you just click on this, and then it takes you back to page 1. Correct. So for this page, we are interested in the daily cases, how the daily cases evolve. Okay, and we're also interested in, so we're interested in the daily positive cases, and we're also interested in the 7-day moving averages. Okay, so for us to do this, okay, so here we need what is known as a combo graph. Okay, so we are going to represent the daily cases by using bar. Okay, so we are going to use vertical bars to represent the daily cases, and then for the line graph, we are going to use a line graph to represent the moving averages. Okay, so here, what we do is that, so that's where the path science comes in. You should have an idea of what you're looking at. So once you have that idea or that concept, you can just implement that using Data Studio. So you go to add a chart, and then for add a chart, so here you notice that, so here these are the combo chart I was referring to. So here, for this combo chart, you have the option, right, to click this. Okay, good. But then you notice that the data set that we have, okay, so it's updating the data set that we have. We don't have the daily cases. So then what do we do? So basically what we need to do is we need to import that data. So then that's where this comes in. So here, you see, this is the data. So for the first graph that we looked at, okay, the data that we utilized was the Ghana covered. Now, in order for us to visualize the daily cases, we need a different type of, different data. So here, what you need to do is you click this, and now you go to select data source. Okay, so we don't have the data source added. So what you do is that you go to add data. So once you click on add data, then it brings you back to your data source where you connect, right? So then our data is from our Google Sheet. So we click on Google Sheet, and then we go to this data. So here we are interested in what? The covered Ghana daily. Okay, so because we are interested in the daily cases. So you click on this, then you click on add. So once you click on add, then automatically you get an option to add this to your report. Good. So now, so let's look at this. Good. So basically, what we have here are this corresponds to the daily positive cases. Okay. So here, this is for the country Ghana. So remember, in order for us to obtain this, we collapsed all the different regions. I already explained this data set. So you see, you notice that when there was a lockdown, so you notice that around this time, that was when we had the lockdown in Ghana, right? Because there were a lot of positive, cases. The cases were rising. And then after some time, the cases, went down pretty, and then you notice that I think about, a month or two ago, the president came on the TV, and then he, reinforced some of, the laws where you don't have, bars are closed, pubs, no weddings, So yeah, it's because during this time, you notice that the cases were decreasing, then all of a sudden it jumped up again. So that was how come, he enforced it. So if you're a stakeholder, right? So then I believe for the government, all that he's interested in is you show this visualization to, the president or whoever is in charge, maybe the Minister of Finance or anyone. Once the person sees it, then it gives the person an idea of how the cases are evolving. But you see here, we are, like I said, we are interested in a combo plot. So let's include the line graph or the 7-day moving average. So here, automatically it takes the dimension to be date. Yes, and that's what we need. So here we have this to be, the date. And then, so here for the metrics, we have positive cases and record counts. Record counts are basically it counts the individual data point, but that's not what we are interested in. The metric that we are interested in is the 7-day average. So what you do is that you click on this and then you select the 7-day average. Good. So now, what happens is this. You notice that we have this plot, but then there's something wrong with this graph. So what's wrong? You notice that the dates, they are not uniform, right? So you see we have July 8th and then March 13th, right? So what you need to do is that you need to sort. Okay, so you need to sort. So you sort with the record count because the record count counts the individual cases. So you have to sort it with the record count. So good. So now this gives us the 7-day average with the positive cases, right? So then this gives you an overall. So even though there is a peak according to the 7-day moving average, then even though there is a sharp, you see here, we have a sharp we have a high peak, but then from the moving average, it shows that, okay, well, the cases are increasing. So it increased until it hit this part, and then it started decreasing. So here, in order for you to have a good view, you click on view. So once you click on view, it gives you, and the good thing about Data Studio is the fact that you see once you click on any, it shows you the 7-day average and the positive the positive cases. So for instance, this guy here, it shows you the different So once you click on this, it shows you the different labels. So here, this day corresponded to on July 2nd, 2020, we had 1,951 cases. Okay, so this gives you an idea of how this works. And let's look. So you see, after you've built this, right? After you've built this graph, so now once you come here, so basically, if you have any other graph, you can, so if you're interested in maybe the positive, the moving averages for maybe just a specific region, Greater Accra region, you can do that. Unfortunately, for the data set that we obtained, we're not able to obtain the gender. The gender wasn't passed, so it would have been good if we could visualize, the gender distribution by using a pie chart or something, just to have an idea of how, the genders were distributed. Now, one good thing about this is that you see, once you've generated this, okay, assuming that, you're a data analyst or you're a statistician, whatever, and then you've generated this, you don't have to mess around with this. So assuming that, your data changes. So let's look at, an instance. So let's go to the Ghana COVID data. So let's look at this. So you notice that so it's still loading. Okay, good. So you notice that on the first recorded case, right? The first recorded case was was 2. Okay, let's just mess around with this data. Okay, so let's assume that you've generated a report, but now you go to, you type, 200, or 20,000. Let's just choose any value, right? So let's look at this. So once you do this, okay, all that you need to do is you come to your report, and then so now guys, look at these values here. You see we have what? 59,239, correct? So now let's refresh our data. So once you click what? Once you click refresh, you notice that this what? Jumped from what? 59,000 to what? 79,000. That's one good thing about it. So once you change your data source, once you update a value, automatically you don't have to go up, you don't have to mess around with your values here. It just updates automatically, right? And then it updates, it computes the total active cases. For recoveries, we didn't change, we didn't update the cumulative recovery cases. So you notice that it stays the same. So that's one good thing. So once you update, automatically, this part also gets updated. So here, so once you click this, automatically it also gets updated. So that's one good thing about this. So now after you've generated your report, right? So now let's assume that you are done with your dashboard, everything works perfectly. Then the next thing is you should share, right? So in sharing, you have the option to share this, okay? So to share, you have the option to allow people to collaborate, okay? So for instance, if I want to, assuming I want Linda to collaborate, what I'll do is I'll click on her name and then I'll change this to edit, right? So then once I click send, then he or she receives an email that, you can share, you can now edit or whatever. So if it's your boss, for your boss, maybe you don't want your boss to mess around with, with the data, right? With the, what you've done. So for them, maybe what you can do is you change the setting to just view. Okay, you change the setting to just view, and then they can do that. Another option is that assuming you want to just print it, so you have the option to download this report as a PDF. So you have that option to download the report as a PDF. You also have the option to get a link to the report. So then once you share this link, anybody who has access to this link can view your report. Okay, so so if it's your company, you can share the link to them, and then all that they will do is they just go to this link and they are able to. And the good thing about this is that the person doesn't need a Data Studio account. Okay, the person doesn't need a Data Studio account to view. All that the person needs is just the account. And then you also have the option. I talked about the fact that you can schedule email delivery. So here you also have the option to click on schedule email delivery. So for scheduling email deliveries, you can schedule that. Okay, every day or every week, every month, you can customize, depending on what you're interested in. So here, custom, maybe every 2 days, send me a report of, of the visualization. You have that option, and then it's going to send you the report. And you have the option to add recipients to the email delivery. And then last but not least, you also have the option to embed this report. You have the option to embed this report into your personal website. And for that, let me demonstrate it. So here, let me go to the website of Mogital Analytics. So this is our website. So I'm loading up. So once you come to the website, I have here what is known as the Ghana COVID-19 dashboard. So now once you click on this, so I already created, a sample dashboard, and for this sample dashboard, so once I click on this, it's updating, so let's wait because Google, very soon. Okay. So it has to load the data. So then it takes, a couple of seconds before it loads. Good. So now, so this is, the Ghana COVID-19 dashboard. So here, and the good thing is that it's updating so here you notice that the data that I was using, right? you notice because I changed that data, so this, I should say that this dashboard is different from the one that I showed, okay, that we practiced. This is different because you see here, we have select date range, we have data last updated. We don't have that, we don't have these things on what we created. Look here. So you notice that this is different from what we have here. But then you notice that when I change the data, you notice here, the data is changed, right? It's because, look here, so let me go back to this, 79,237. We also have the same thing, 79,237, right? It's because the data source is the same data. That's how come. So you see, once I updated it, I didn't have to do anything. Automatically, my graph updated itself, so good. So this is this. And here you have the option to include data last updated. So you notice here, we have that the data was last updated on February 12th. So then that's what we have here, the cases. And one good thing about this is that you can also include what is known as select date range. So for instance, if we are just interested in the data point for a specific, a month. So here we go to select date range. So here, assuming we are interested in just looking at cases maybe from March until November 30th. So once you click on this, then automatically it updates and shows you what the cases. So meaning that from March 12th until 30th November in Ghana, we had 57,082 cases. And, it shows you the distributions in the different regions. And I also have here, so once you come down here, these are the moving averages. So here I have the moving averages for the daily cases. And then I also wanted to see if there's a relationship between cases in Greater Accra region and Ghana in total. So you notice that, yes, I mean, it's more or less, it's behaving almost the same thing. Why? Because majority of the cases were recorded in Greater Accra region. So that's how come, it's behaving more or less similar to, the entire Ghana data, right? So here I just included this just to have, just to see if there is some pattern between Ghana, Accra region and continental Ghana. So basically, so that's that about Google Data Studio. And I think this is very interesting. The fact that you can embed it into your website and then you don't have to mess around with, you don't have to go to Data Studio. You just update, so assuming now we are able to, so here, so let me scroll down a little bit. So let me scroll here. So if I scroll down, right, remember the last case was detected on February 10, right? So assuming that, okay, I can add an additional row here. So, well, let me. One more time, okay, good. So assuming that we have, another case, once you have a case, once you add these values, then automatically it updates itself, and then you get a different graph based on what, you already designed. So without much ado, I will stop presenting and I'm open for questions. Thank you. So if you don't mind, I will stop the recording button, and then if